Tron Ares was simply spectacular and mind-blowing in IMAX 3D. The visuals, the graphics, the action, and the thudding background techno music to go along with the action was really money's worth. If you're a geeky nerd or into the world of computers and video games and have watched The Matrix before, you would simply adore the movie. And in that case, you must absolutely rush to the theaters and watch it, because by any stretch of imagination, the movie would really lose its magic when watched on TV or a smartphone. Go watch it in the IMAX 3D and you won't regret spending your money for this movie Tron Ares, which is going to give you the kicks. What I found surprising was that even the story and the plot are good. I'd not watched any of the earlier Tron movies from 1982 and 2010 called Tron and Tron Legacy respectively, but I could follow Tron Ares pretty easily in spite of that. I suppose the people who have watched the earlier parts can relate to the role of Kevin Flynn played by Jeff Bridges better in the movie, but I enjoyed the movie thoroughly regardless, and I'm sure you would too. It is easy to overcomplicate the plot when you're dealing with such computer game-ish techno-plot movies, but that's where the movie excels. It keeps the plot simple. There is a virtual world called the Grid. That world exists inside the cyberspace, and then we have our real world as we know it. Two companies called Dillinger Systems and Encom have developed the tech to transport things from cyberspace to the real world or pull things from the real world into the cyberspace using lasers. Dillinger Systems is headed by Julian Dillinger, played by Evan Peters, who is a bad guy, and Encom is headed by Eve Kim, played by Greta Peters, while Julian plans to transport things from cyberspace to the real world for weaponization. Eve Kim of Encom is looking for noble causes like crops, medicines, and so forth. The only problem is that when things are brought from cyberspace to the real world, they remain stable for only 29 minutes before disintegrating. They can become permanent if the code called the permanence code can be found, and thus there's a race between Julian Dillinger and Eve Kim of Encom to find the permanence code. One of the characters in the movie is called Ares, played by Jared Leto, who's a man in the cyberspace of Dillinger Systems. He is the program heading the cybersecurity of Dillinger Systems. He has to wage wars against cyber threats and is thus aptly named Ares after the Greek god of war. He starts questioning the commands of Julian Dillinger and starts protecting Kim. He helps Kim in finding the permanence code, but on the way there is a marvelous set of transfers of characters and weapons and motorbikes between the cyber world called the Grid and the real world. That leads to a lot of action and techno music, which not only keeps you entertained, but even blows your mind. The graphics are superb, and while you do get a feeling that you're watching a giant video game, the story and the plot keep you engaged thoroughly. For example, it's almost shocking as well as amusing when Julian's mother, played by Gillian Anderson of the X-Files fame, slaps him for his bad actions, and it creates a funny reminder of the real world when you're surrounded by cyborgs and lasers. There's also a funny scene when Eve Kim makes a funny face at the gas station to make her recognizable as a famous CEO of Encom so that she could get some help there. The acting and the actors are not worth talking about much, though everybody has played a good part. The movie is all about graphics, action, special effects, and the music. And that part is superb, so you come out of the movie entertained, energized, and also with some enigmatic thoughts. And those thoughts are on the lines of when it would be possible to do this back and forth transport between the cyber world called the Grid and the real world, and what will be the consequences of that. There's a very interesting dialogue in the movie when the villainess Athena, who is also a cyborg, emotionally tells Ares who's fighting her. Athena says, "But Ares, we were given a purpose." Ares replies, "It was not our purpose, it was our programming. Our purpose is yet to be determined." And that dialogue hits you hard, and you come out wondering, what is the future of AI in our world, and what will be its consequences? So what happens to Ares? Is he able to come to the real world in spite of the 29 minutes survival limitation? Does Kim get hold of the permanence code? And what happens to Julian Dillinger, the villain? These are some of the questions you will get an interesting answer to when you watch the movie. Suffice to say that the movie opens up a clear possibility to a sequel in the future, and I would definitely look forward to that. In the meantime, hit the theaters and don't miss out on this mesmerizing spectacle called Tron Ares.